Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's Sunday Night Live or whatever it is whenever you are watching it. But you're very, very welcome and lots to talk about as per usual in relation to Manchester United. I feel as if the ceiling is starting to push down on Manchester United, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because we had 20 years of this under Sir Alex Ferguson. But I think things are starting to go wrong. But first of all, I just want to kill a rumour dead in the water actually in relation to Anthony Martial to Arsenal. Look, I haven't got the crayons to explain to Arsenal fans how and why this isn't going to happen, but whoever the journalist is who's done it, I mean, he's obviously been offered a drink from the fountain of knowledge and decided to gargle and spit it out. This is not happening. Martial is not going to Arsenal. End of. We're not mentioning that again. What we are going to talk about is some Moyes calling Mourinho lucky and saying that nobody could have done a better job than he did. That's going to be an interesting conversation. Pogba out for 2 months. Fellaini, obviously. Liverpool next week. The tactics we should do about that. Loads more. But before we talk about the Moyes thing, I've got Flex and Xander with me. I sort of feel that there are a few things going wrong with Manchester United at the moment. One of them, I think, is to do with what I'm about to talk about with Rashford. And then another one, I think, is to do with the way things are going with regards to injuries and whether they were avoidable. But tonight, we've seen it with Fellaini last night, playing in a game he didn't need to play in, and now he won't play against Liverpool. That is for sure, depending on how long he's going to be, but he won't play against Liverpool. You then get Marcus Rashford playing away to Lithuania, and with all due respect to Lithuania, it's a bit of a cup final them. England come to town, they're a bit physical, and we see Marcus Rashford playing a game for 90 minutes. 90 bloody minutes that he doesn't need to be playing in because we've already qualified. And this is what I feel. I think that the FA and Southgate will have had a conversation about this and just gone, it's Mourinho, it's United, we'll do it just because it probably will annoy him. And it annoys me as a United fan that there is no common sense. I don't know what you think about that, Flex, but I was very, very angry throughout that game that Rashford just was kept on for 90 minutes.
Yes, it's one of them things where you kind of think, is there an agenda against us? Because there's absolutely zero reason for him to even play. You know, if you're looking at England moving forward, which a lot of us don't really care about, me myself, but Gareth Southgate should be using that time to kind of get some of the more squad players in, you know, try different things. It's a way to Lithuania, for God's sake. You know, Rashford is obviously, he fancies him. He's a starter for England. We've already qualified. There's zero need to play him. Zero need. And, you know, God forbid, say he breaks his leg in that game, he's out for the rest of the season and doesn't even go to the World Cup, then it affects England as well. So if I was Gareth Southgate, I'd be just looking to use my squad players, and not just saying that because I'm a Man United fan, just for the other players who play, even Harry Kane. Okay, fair enough, he's the captain, etc. But try someone else up front. Start Vardy. Give someone else a try. Try different things. It's Lithuania away, and we've already qualified.
Yeah, I did think it was a big waste of time. But Xander, I'll let you get your teeth into this David Moyes comment then for people who are a little bit new to the show. Mourinho's basically been slammed, I would say, by Moyes. I mean, you can call it subtle. Again, I just think, this, whether it's the FA, whether it's the press, you don't see this with Pep or Man City. There is nothing. He's just given a free ride, an open checkbook. Everyone just climbs up his backside and just says how great he is. And any little dig they can have at Manchester United, whether it's the FA or the press, and people can say paranoid. I'm not paranoid. I'm just ready for it because I've seen it happen for the last 3 decades. It's what happens to Manchester United. Manchester United sell papers. Manchester United are disliked by everybody other than Manchester United fans. And why the hell is David Moyes being interviewed again? This has been going on for 4 years now, and every single year he opens his stupid mouth and starts undermining our manager. And he's done it again. And what he's basically come out and said is, nobody could have done a better job than David Moyes. Sir David Moyes, self-appointed Sir David Moyes. Nobody could have done a better job than him after Sir Alex Ferguson. Nobody could have done better than taking the champions of England to 7th place. What are your thoughts, Sander?
I think he's an absolute clown, mate. I think, if I'm honest, it just, this quote, this statement reiterates my belief and my happiness that we've got rid of the bloke, if I'm honest. He's an absolute fool. He spent the whole summer chasing Fabregas and Bale, ended up with Marouane and Fellaini at the end of the day, at the end of the window. Ironically, we're actually kind of gutted he's injured now. But he's, poor tactics. a poor manager. You know, he got the job because Fergie liked him, and he's gone everywhere else and he's failed miserably. He went to Sociedad, he went to Sunderland, got Sunderland relegated. Absolute clown, got no time for the bloke. And if I'm honest, he needs the interviews, doesn't he? Because he's not getting any work anywhere else, so he needs to rake the money in somehow.
Yeah, again, I just question, Flex, why this is being brought out. You know, why are journalists going to speak about David Moyes? And my only conclusion is that it's just another way to undermine our manager and our club and sort of chip away at us. Because as Xander said there, he's been sacked a long, long time ago. He was inept. He never should have got the job. And since then, he's been abroad and totally failed. He's come back to the Premier League and got somebody relegated. I don't know. I don't know whether anybody in the live comments wants to defend him. Can you see any point, one, in the article, and two, is he, you know, could anybody have done better than David Moyes? Personally, I think me and you could, but, you know, that's my opinion.
Yeah, he's talking absolute nonsense, to be honest with you. I think he actually just still feels really bitter about the whole thing. The fact that it was so bad, the fans turned on him, made him feel like crap, to be honest. And I think once he realised how big a job it was, and that, you know, keeping Everton afloat for 10 years and making them overachieve is not the credentials that you need for a Man United manager. Some of me, some people might say Flex, you're crazy, but some of me thinks that Sir Alex kind of went for him because he thought, well, he's not as good as me, so he won't outdo me. I'll still keep my stature. Yeah. It was that bad of an appointment. I was just like, seriously, even at the time, I'm like, Moyes, David Moyes. Do you know what I mean?
I was depressed, mate.
So, yeah, exactly.
I was depressed.
Exactly, and the banter we were taking at that time, it was just unreal. So I think it's absolute nonsense. And I think, you know, someone could have done better than him in that time? Of course I do. I think, like you said, your Sunday League manager could have made better decisions. David Moyes, we were boring. We didn't even have a lot of possession of the ball. We didn't have any chances. The players looked clueless. I mean, make no mistakes, Sir Alex Ferguson did leave us with an ageing team. He left us with players who were no longer at their peak, and only somebody like Sir Alex could have got the best out of having Tom Cleverley in centre midfield and winning a league title.
I'm glad you said that, Flex. So, sorry to interrupt, because I was going to jump in and say, we've had this over the years on the United stand, and a lot of people agree with you that he left an ageing squad, which I disagree with, but I think you qualified it there. What I always say is, if Ferguson had stayed another year, we would have won the title again. Because Sir Alex Ferguson's the only manager who could win the title with that sort of side.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Sir Alex is obviously legendary, and players that he used to get the best out of players who were, let's face it, at best bang average. Players like Fletcher, players like Anderson, players like, you know, Park Ji-sung done amazing for us. But let's face it, would he go to another top side in the world and start games? Probably not. But Sir Alex is Sir Alex. He works miracles. Let's face it. So yeah, I do think only he could have got that out of those players, but there's definitely better candidates who would have made us progress a lot further in those 9 months that David Moyes has. So he needs to stop talking nonsense and he should just be a pundit and just don't say anything, or just be a writer or a blogger or something. He needs to just get away from it.
I think just go and sell vegetables or something like that, or do something with those vegetables. You're useless. Well, that's it. But what I would say about Moyes is what I said at the time. Never won anything of note, had a terrible record against the top four, and came in and got rid of the whole backroom staff. I mean, arrogance beyond belief. And he's still talking about things like, I actually think he's a bit simple. I think he's a simpleton, because he's talking about stuff like, we were so close to getting Fabregas and Bale. Mate, you didn't get Fabregas and Bale. This isn't bloody FIFA. You can't rewrite it and upload it. You messed us up. Absolutely messed us up. And Mourinho has said it in the last few weeks that Manchester United just didn't evolve after Sir Alex Ferguson. And that's the name. That is the name. And I think Flex, what Flex says there is probably quite true. It may, well, we don't know, but maybe Sir Alex Ferguson didn't want Mourinho to replace him, because I think Mourinho would have come in with that team of winners, added some real quality that he can attract, and United would not have slumped for 4 years. I mean, it's been a depressing 4 years because they made bad decisions. Whether Mourinho would have won the title straight after Sir Alex Ferguson, I don't know, but we wouldn't have had what's happened now. And as for managers who could replace Moyes, I think there was loads. So I don't know why he's coming out in the press, but I mean, like Gungshi says in the live comments, Moyes is always interviewed as if he's the victim as well. Makes me sick. I think he got 9 months too long. I think the first day he was at Old Trafford was a day too long. I never wanted him. I thought he was absolutely disgraceful. And it's not popular to say it at the moment, but he is the man who signed Fellaini. Whoa, let's move on quick. Anyway, Paul Pogba, Sander. Right, this I wasn't aware of this because I've been out a bit today, and international break weekend I've sort of used it as an opportunity to go and do things non-football related, which has been nice in a way, although I have missed the Premier League. But I did read just before I came on air that Paul Pogba could be out for another 2 months at a time when we desperately need him, because Fellaini is obviously out, Herrera and Matic really. People talk about Carrick. Carrick was injured before a week ago, so I don't know why people think Carrick's playing. I think realistically it's Matic, Herrera, McTominay. But it's, I think some people were hoping that Pogba might surprise us all and be back next Saturday. If he's still in Miami, which I think he is, there's no chance, but never say never. But out for 2 months, that is very, very depressing. If there's any element of truth, I mean, we don't know how long, but it's not looking good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we get a lot of stick from rival fans, and United get a lot of stick for how much money we spent on him. But when he's not there and when he's not in the team, you really see how much he has an influence on the team and on the game. He gets the ball ticking. He makes forward passes, and he's that kind of leader, that player that can create something out of nothing. He's powerful. He's fast. He's really kind of the, like I said, the leader in the team that players kind of look up to. I think Fellaini, I know, Mark, we've had many discussions about it, and we don't like to see him in a United shirt whatsoever. But, if we're looking at the squad that we've got, Fellaini probably would be the automatic replacement for Paul Pogba, and he's been playing quite well recently as well. I'm going to be honest, for me, he's been playing quite well.
I said last night he's a big miss against Liverpool because Liverpool are so bad in the air. He is a big loss. Whatever I think about him, he's a big loss.
Exactly. Liverpool are so poor at corners and crossing. They're very disorganised. And for stick a ball into Fellaini with Ashley Young's kind of quality of a cross, that's a few goals there and then. And all I say is, does Andreas Pereira wish he'd stayed now?
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, Flex. People at home as well. What is your gut feeling about this Pogba thing? I mean, I remember somebody saying last week that it's just very odd that he's been out for a month already and there's no update from United. I mean, they know what the situation is with his hamstring. This is the 21st century, for God's sake. It's like they know what it is. I can't really honestly say, as somebody who's been doing this for 3 years and followed football for a long time, I can give an opinion on how clubs leak news, but I can't really understand why United aren't doing it. I mean, part of me thought, are they keeping it quiet so that it can be a shock return and sort of catch the opposition on the hop, which it still could be, or are they keeping it quiet because it's such a big, it's going to be such a big absence that it could undermine our season?
Yeah, it's a weird one, really, because it's similar to with the Zlatan injury. He kept quiet for some time and just kind of summed it up as a long-term injury. And we all know how long he's been out for. So, in my opinion, I think he's really worrying, really, really worrying. And with the way we're playing right now, the fact that Fellaini's now missing is an even bigger worry, because you're talking about, some people talk about Mkhitaryan coming into a midfield three. Wouldn't want to see that one bit. As a number 10, yes, but in an actual three away to Liverpool, they've, for how poor they are at the back, they've got legs in midfield and they've got players who can move. And if we stick someone like Mkhitaryan in a three, I can't see that working, even matter. Even if Pereira was here, again, he's more of a 10. We need three centre midfielders against Liverpool for us to get a positive result. I think the only reason we haven't been hurt so much without Pogba leaving, we can see the difference in how we play, don't get me wrong, and we're not dominating the field as much. But Fellaini's been able to fill that void because of his attributes, and we've played to them strengths, which is why Fellaini's been playing so well and warranted his place in the team. But now he's gone. I'm really worried. I'm really worried about the midfield. I'm even thinking I can see Jose maybe sticking Phil Jones in there.
Yeah, we said
Lindelof
that
in with Bailey.
Cool,
yeah.
Scott McTominay.
No.
Yeah, I think it might be. It's Jose, so you never know. He could have it up his sleeve, but I doubt it. A youngster, big game,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe again. He's another possibility, but I think if it was me, I would probably stick Phil Jones there, if I'm honest.
If you stick Phil Jones in there, though, you got Matic, Phil Jones, and whoever else you stick in there. That's such a slow defensive midfield. And I know we're talking about sitting back and hitting them on the counter, but you've got to have some sort of dynamic element to your midfield. And you know, like Flex says, Liverpool's midfield, you know, as poor as they are at the back, they have got legs in midfield. And don't think Matic and Phil Jones would be a sufficient midfield to counter them. I think if it's going to be anyone in the midfield, I think he'll stick McTominay in there. He's had the most game time. He obviously trusts him. So
I'd cry. I think
Yeah,
I'll be crying on the watch along next week if that happens.
who else?
I mean, a lot of people say Blind. I've been very consistent. I don't know what you think, Flex, about Blind, but I just think Blind is a bit of a myth, really. It's a bit like signing Schneider. There's this myth that Blind can play as a midfielder. I mean, Van Gaal tried it, and Van Gaal loved Blind, and he binned it after about 2 games. Blind is so left-footed and not very mobile, but he's got no right side to him, so he can, you know. He really is good down the left side, but the right side is a waste of time, and he'd get bypassed in the midfield. I don't think Blind's an option. For me, like you said there, it's Phil Jones or Twansibi. I don't think you can risk going with a midfield 3 that's got Mata or Mkhitaryan in it, because if they go missing against the dynamic, because let's not forget, Liverpool are going to have Can in there, Henderson in there, and you know, I mean, Henderson's rubbish, but it's going to be a battle in there, and I don't know whether Mata or Mkhitaryan are the right sort of players. I really do want to see a midfield 3 that's going to battle, and then feed hopefully quick players from the front 3.
Yeah, I mean, although we didn't want to see Martial and Rashford maybe start, well, I know a lot of people were, but in terms of, you know, what's our plan B if that doesn't go right. I mean, I can maybe see him if he does sacrifice it in midfield by putting someone like Jones there, or Tuanzebe. Maybe we do need the pace on the wings, and maybe we do go with Martial and Rashford as the other 3, and have it compact with Jones and Matic and Herrera. Herrera's got the legs in there to give that little bit of dynamic, and obviously the steel and the muscle will come from Jones and Matic, who don't make no mistake, if they do start that game, they're going to be disciplined. They're not going to go wandering, and they will protect the back 4. Then you can say, okay, Herrera, your biggest strength is your legs. Be energetic, win the ball back, be a pain, and let's get it to the flanks. Let's get it to Martial. Let's get it to Rashford. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we do see those 3 start, given the new circumstances now. Because like you said, if you have a Mickey in there or you have a Mata in there just going missing, because like you missed off Wijnaldum as well. Them 3, Wijnaldum, Chan and Henderson, don't get me wrong, Henderson is rubbish, but again, his biggest strength is legs. And once that Anfield crowd gets going, once they're knocking the ball around as a 3, Emre Can, legs, Wijnaldum, legs, they can easily overrun us. So definitely no Mickey or Mata in there for me.
Yeah, I mean, we're building up towards the Liverpool game next Saturday lunchtime throughout the week, pretty much from Tuesday onwards. I'm going to do a specific Liverpool United tactics show where we get the pitch out and the players and talk through weaknesses and everything like that, because it is a big game. I think if we win that game, it sets us, you know, on a great start to the month, and it really does indicate that we can battle for the title. If we lose it, then it's our first big test, and everyone will be like, maybe it's just top 4 this year. Although it's very early to say that, but we'll wait and see. Please do drop a like on the video. Remember to subscribe if you're new through the hologram in the bottom right hand corner. And there is a share button. Nobody ever bloody shares it. Make sure you share. Click the share button. Twitter, Facebook, you can share it wherever, and get involved in helping the United Stand community grow, because it's a fantastic community. Right, I've got a question now. I'm going to give Xander and Flex a little bit of time to think about this, and you at home, and then when I've given the question, I'm just going to do something, and then that gives you 60 seconds or so to get your live comments up so we can really interact about it. The question is basically this. Lots more to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Liverpool game as well, and Martial specifically, but I want to ask you about this. In the next 2 weeks, we will find out for sure. It was Liverpool-Arsenal that was controversial, but United have been pulled into it now because we're playing Leicester on the 23rd of December. Now, Sky paid a lot of money for Premier League football, and they pay a lot of money for the 4 o'clock slot and the 1:30 slot on a Sunday. That is a Christmas Eve this year. Liverpool-Arsenal is odds-on favourite to get moved to the Sunday at 4 o'clock on Christmas Eve. United have now been pulled in because United are expected to get pulled over to the 1:30 slot on Christmas Eve. I think it's away to Leicester. Should football be played on Christmas Eve? Are you happy that Manchester United are going to be playing on Christmas Eve this year? Get commenting, give us your thoughts, and just whilst everybody's doing that, let me just say, you can actually bet on whether this is going to happen or not, because it's going to happen, I think it's either this week or next week that Sky announced the games, and it's going to go off like a bottle of pop. So you can actually put a bet on that, but we are doing a watch along on That's Football tomorrow for a massive game between Ireland and Wales. The link in the video description is to the Quiff app. A lot of you will know a lot and not a lot about it because it's very, very popular at the moment. And you can sign up for free. The link is in the video description. And basically, how the Quiff app works is that whatever bet you put on, you can get quiffed. That's not a haircut like mine. What a quiff is like if you put a bet on for Wales to win at 2-1 tomorrow, whatever bet you put on, it enhances it, and it can go up to as high as 9-1, 3-1, 4-1. But every bet you put on will get quiffed, and that means it will just go up. And it's randomised for every individual, so it's not botted or anything like that. There's not specific games that will only go up to so much. You can earn little bonuses, free bets, and everything like that. But it's very popular at the moment. In fact, it was on the adverts for the BT Sports game last week. So it's no fly-by night. It's really very, very popular, and you can sign up. Link in the video description for Quiff. You can even put a bet on whether you think United will be playing on Christmas Eve or not. Link in the video description for it. I don't know. Before I take some comments, Sander, I don't know whether you celebrate Christmas in Spain. I'm only joking. I'm not a total idiot. But what's your thoughts on that? Football on Christmas Eve. We've all got an opinion. Give us your thoughts. What is it?
Well, obviously, as I live in Spain, as many of you do know, I can't go to the game. So, as a non-match goer, if you will, I love it because, sometimes on Christmas Eve or on Christmas, it gets a bit boring. I just like that kind of festive feel. Stick the football on, have a
Christmas
drink.
Eve?
Yeah.
Santa's coming. You should be sat at home, tucking into Quality Street, watching The Sound of Music.
But for me, there's no better entertainment than a game of football. And if I can get a game of football, my club playing on Christmas Eve, I'll take it. But there's the other side to the coin. For match goers, there are many of them. I feel very sorry for obviously Flex is a match goer as well. I feel very sorry for people like Flex because you want to be with your family, you want to be at home, you're getting ready for Christmas, getting tucked up like you said, and I think that's out of order because I guarantee you Flex cannot go not go to that game because we've got this loyalty and this kind of connection to United. So I feel very sorry for match goers, but as a non-match goer, I love it.
I'm going to ask Flex for his opinion now, but Ryan McSquiggan says, I like Christmas Eve games. Mark Bolton says, if we play Christmas Eve, will we still play on Boxing Day too? It's a good question. I don't know. And it will either make or break Christmas, says Beck Howell. And Christmas Eve bottle of plonk, game of footy, what's wrong with that, says Happy Rick. So a lot of people positive at the moment. JME says it makes Christmas exciting with football. And I don't mind. Then again, here in the US, all major games are played on Christmas Eve, says Chris Salasa. And Fellaini needs to play, says Ari. Fellaini always pops in on every topic, doesn't he? Christmas is my third favourite day of the year, says Fionn. I'm intrigued now what beats Christmas Eve. I presume Christmas Day and maybe a birthday. Yes, not for the players, but for me and United fans, what a Christmas Eve would be, says Sebastian United. And they earn enough to play in hell, says Martin Pugh. A little bit harsh, but there we go. Joe Condon says, watching the snowman, trying not to cut your wrists. Okay, Christmas is a lonely time for some people, I think. It's good to talk. There's lots of people you can ring. That's it. I'm being serious about that, by the way. Flex, surprisingly, a lot of positivity to it. I mean, I'm going to give my thoughts, but Christmas Eve, Manchester United playing. I mean, you might be going, you might not, but whether you are or not, I mean, are you comfortable with that?
That's a difficult one. I mean, I'm a family man, and I believe the players are still human beings. They should have time. These guys got to play straight away Boxing Day. They get Christmas Day, and I do think it's the way that the Premier League's going, really, in football in general. There's so much money going around in it, and yes, the players do benefit from it massively. They're all millionaires. Technically, it's going to probably get to a stage where they're told to bloody play on Christmas Day, if you ask me, and they'll probably just have to do it. But I'd like to see, me personally, I'd like to see some sort of cap on it. Sky are obviously a mega powerhouse in the dictatorship as to when games are played. We've seen it develop over the years with fixtures being moved here, there, and everywhere. But me personally, Christmas Eve, man, nah, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that at all. But again, I can see it happening, and in the future, I can even see crazy stuff like Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, the lot, just to fit in the games.
Yeah, and let's not forget, I mean, there's a lot of people in the live comments, sorry I didn't say them out, but culturally, religious, it means nothing, Christmas, and that is your right. That is your, you may be atheist, religious, or, don't know, but you know what I mean. You might not be bothered by it. And also, I can tell you for a fact that Scotland didn't used to exist at Christmas. Sorry, I've got that wrong. Christmas didn't used to exist in Scotland until the late 50s, which I read about the other day, which really surprised me. But they used to play Christmas Day, I think up until like the 50s, even in England. So they are paid a lot of money. I agree with that. Sky have paid a lot of money for it, so it shouldn't come to us. It should not come as a surprise to Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, or Leicester that they might be asked to play on Christmas Eve. I don't see the leeway. I think this is going to happen, and I don't see how they're going to get away with it. Personally, I will be quite strong on this and say no, not for me, not on Christmas Eve. I give a lot of time up to football, doing the United Stand. I love doing it. I love the community we've got. Personally, Christmas Eve is my favourite day of the year. I want to be with my family. I don't want to be doing watch-alongs for Leicester. I'd rather it happen on the Saturday. Sandra will do it. But no, and also, I like to go down the pub with all my family and have a few beers and come back and have a nice dinner and watch films and all that. I prefer Christmas Eve to Christmas Day. So, I think there's a time for football and it isn't that day. But I totally and utterly understand why people are going to enjoy it, because people do different things. And I totally understand why Sky will insist that it happens. It's just the way it's fallen this year. But no, it isn't for me. It isn't for me. And yeah, we'll see what happens. But we're going to know in a couple of days' time. I like the Boxing Day game, and I personally I'll ask both the lads this and everybody at home as well, just before we move on to another topic, because there is talk that we might have a winter break. And as much as what I've just said about Christmas Eve there, I'd be totally against the winter break. La Liga do it, Germany do it. I think it shuts down around the 20th of December and it opens up again around the 10th of January, and there is no football between that time. That is one thing I absolutely love about the Premier League, and have always loved. I do love the games that you get in between Christmas and New Year and after New Year with the FA Cup. I mean, I'm not for an international break. I don't know what your thoughts are, Sander, on that.
Oh, honestly, couldn't think of anything worse. Like I just said, I love football so much. This is my favourite form of entertainment, isn't it? I love United and I want to watch them as much as possible, although it will benefit us if we're talking about European aspirations. That's why it's one of the reasons why European clubs do so well in Europe, is because they get that winter break, whereas the English clubs, they tire themselves out with so many games in a short period of time. But the festive games, like I said, I love it. It's a festive feeling. It's under the floodlights, and it's just a fantastic feeling to watch your team play around that period. So yeah, I'd be totally against the winter break.
Yeah, me too. Flex, you. I mean, it would make us better in the second half of the season, giving the players 2 weeks off. I totally see that, but selfishly, I want to watch football over Christmas. Not on Christmas Eve, but over Christmas.
Yeah, definitely, for our own selfish reasons. I mean, for me, Boxing Day is like traditional. The telly goes on. We're watching football. They've got different various supporters within my family group. I have Arsenal on TV, Liverpool, United. So for our own selfish reasons, yeah, definitely Boxing Day football, and just the festive season, even into New Year's Day and stuff like that. I won't want to see that changed. Yes, the European leagues do have that advantage over us. I do agree with Xander there. A lot of people do say that. But let's face it, the European clubs got a lot over us because they're just better. They just have better players than us, more world-class players than us, I think. And it's not just down to the break. Yeah.
And Sally Devil Red says, Seven Mitchell says, what about a January break? Yeah, I'd take a January break. I just don't want it over Christmas. A lot of people, you're off over Christmas. It's great to be with your family, but by Boxing Day, it's nice to have a couple of hours away. And yeah, so yeah, I tell you what, there'll be a lot more problems in households over Christmas period if they took football away. And yeah, but January break could work quite well. Bisong M. Parme says, Mark, the TV companies pay the bills and they call the shots. Comment of the night on this topic, because when you let the devil grease your palm, you cannot argue when he starts dictating to you. And that's what, they are not going to be able to. I'll be so surprised if Sky back off on this. Why should they? They've massively overpaid for the TV rights this time. Even Richard Scudamore, the Premier League owner or chief executive, said when they got the bid, he was stunned how high it was. They weren't expecting it that high. And I think Sky made a mistake thinking a competitor was going to go in high because it's sealed bids. So they way overpaid for it, Sky. And we've been punished as the consumer, as we always will do. But there is no way, I don't think, Sky are going to go, yay, I tell you what, we'll ignore Christmas Eve, what we've paid for. No way. They are definitely going to want it to be played. So I think Liverpool and Arsenal are screwed because they will be playing, because that's the biggest game of that week. And I think United, Leicester could get moved as well. Typically, again, it's the downside of being a United fan. What game do you think you want to put up on Christmas Eve? United. People will watch United with them. They might hate us, but they will still watch us, and that's the why United are on telly more than anybody else. And we always will be, even in the bad 4 years that we've had. Cal Davis says, Christmas Eve football will just be magical, Mark. I won't be there. Xander's doing the watch-along. He said it on live TV. That is contractual, as far as I'm concerned. I won't be there.
Consider it done, mate.
In fact, if I'm where I think I'm going to be at Christmas, there won't be much Wi-Fi either, so I definitely will not be there. That's my stance. Okay, what I want to talk about next is Anthony Martial. We are playing Liverpool next week. He won Player of the Month for last month. I personally think he's Manchester United's best player at the moment. Liverpool next week. Should Martial start? And now let's give it a real, I'm going to throw it out to everybody. Remember, tomorrow night is your show, 8 o'clock, Skype Goldbridge. So it's your show tomorrow night. So if there's anything you disagree with tonight or anything you want to discuss, remember you can Skype in at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Can't wait for that. Really enjoy that show. But get comments in, and I want Flex and Sander to give, as I'm sure they will, a thought-through answer on this, because I understand the merits of not playing Martial at Anfield, because you'll get more defensively out of maybe Lingard and Rashford. But should, based on what I've just said there, should Martial be starting this game against Liverpool? And if so, why? If not, why? Xander?
I think it has to be Rashford or Martial. Purely, what like Flex said earlier, if we play both Lukaku, Rashford and Martial in the same team at the same time, you got no backup, really. You got no kind of plan B. We criticised Liverpool and Pep Guardiola for doing it, for having no plan B. And if we play that front three, we'll have no plan B. The best attacking force we'll have on the bench is maybe a Mata or Mkhitaryan, and they don't bring that burst of energy and pace. So for me, I really don't mind who it is between Martial and Rashford. I think they're both equally good at starting and equally good coming off the bench. I just don't think you can start both of them in a game like this.
I think the dream is, amongst the fans, to see Lukaku, Rashford on the right and Martial on the left, Flex, just let loose. Play a really defensive midfield three who just gets the ball to them quick and hit Liverpool on the break. And I don't knock that idea. I'd love to see it. I've said for the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's not going to happen. I would like to see it, and I think it would be a bit of a gamble, because what's off the bench if it doesn't work? But I think it would cause Liverpool problems. But Martial, would you start him next week?
Again, I think it's evident this year so far that between the two of them, who starts is not really the issue. I think they're kind of swapping starting positions, and it's working well for us. And to be fair to them, their heads seem to be in it, and it's working well for them too. So whilst that's happening, I'm not really concerned over who starts. I do agree with what you're saying about wanting to see all three of them start. There's a time and a place, I think, for some of the lesser teams in different moments of the year. We can let that powerhouse go. But I think for such a big game, such a big stage, and especially how Liverpool like to start, which is quick, sharp, fast, quick press. And make no mistakes, Liverpool will be up for this game. Forget any form they've had. Forget any defensive mistakes they've been having. It's Man United at Anfield. They will be right up for it. End of. So based on that, I don't really care too much who starts out of them. I think that Martial is the better of the two in terms of technically his finishing, his composure. But again, they're neck and neck at the minute in terms of form. I know Martial obviously did get the Player of the Month, which is great. He deserved it. But Rashford hasn't been too. They've been neck and neck in my opinion. So not really caring who too much starts, as long as the other gets to come on sort of 70th minute, 65th minute and cause some damage, because whichever way around it is, they will cause damage.
Orison, I will read your super chat. I'm just going to stick with this topic for a moment, but we will come back to that. I just think that Martial, it is a bit odd because he is clearly our best player. The fans love him, and he's been very, very consistent this season. And I do find it a little bit odd that your best player is not in the starting lineup. I don't think he'll start next week. But football is a 90-minute game now, and that's an odd statement. It's always been a 90-minute game. It's a squad game, is what I was going to say, and over that 90 minutes, Martial will come on, and Liverpool will be worried by that we've got it in our back pocket. 20 minutes, half an hour, Martial can come on in a tight game, fresh, and do something. And I think that's the way we will go. I think at some point Martial's got to start starting though, because he is our best player. I think he's passed every test this season. He's even starting games and playing well now when you think about Burton and Moscow. So I think he has to start at some point, but I do think that away from home against Liverpool, he'll go tried and tested. And the biggest thing in that really is whether he will play the normal Mkhitaryan or whether he will go with another man in midfield, which I really hope he does. I was just looking on Twitter there actually. Apparently Barcelona are interested in Martial now. I'm not surprised. He's a fantastic player, but I hope he stays at United because I hope he sees that the fans absolutely love him. Joe Condon says Rashford's work rate would allow Martial to come on and do damage Solskjaer style. Yeah, it's a squad game, and I do agree, and we've said it before, like Xander said, that if you do play Rashford and Martial, you sort of, especially with the absence of Fellaini, you don't really have that sort of option off the bench to change it. Lingard can come and do a job, but our bench next week is probably going to be quite weak when you consider we won't have Fellaini, we won't have Pogba. Options off the bench to change it are going to be quite limited, and that is why I think you will definitely see probably Martial on the bench with Rashford starting. I would like to see a bit of pace though. I wouldn't be opposed to dropping Mata and playing Lingard on the right, just to give us that pace to hurt Liverpool on the break, because we're going to have to defend a lot. We've had a couple of super chats. Jacko says, "Can I be a mod, please, Mark?" Jacko, I don't do it. It's Mad Marcus who does it. But thanks for the contribution. And Orison has made a contribution. Thanks for that. He says, "If Portugal can beat France without Ronaldo, United can beat any opposition with our current squad. We have what it takes." I think United are. Yeah, thanks for the contribution. I think United can beat anybody. But over a 38-game season, you would expect the best team to come out on top and win. But Xander, how confident are you next week? There's different sort of theories as to how we should approach this game. We know last season it was pretty much this time of the season. I think it was after the international break last year that we went to Anfield, and Liverpool fans tried to use it as a rod to hit us with, that we parked the bus, and we certainly did park the bus. But Zlatan had the best chance of the game, and we nearly did a smash and grab. Are you happy with us for us to go and park the bus next week? Do you think Mourinho will do that?
I think I don't have a problem with. So in that game last season, the problem was we played our wingers as wing backs. So we didn't really have that outlet. Zlatan was very isolated in that game. He didn't have support from Rashford or Lingard. They were both playing as wing backs and essentially, at right back and left back. In this game, I'd like to see. I wouldn't be opposed to us parking the bus and playing like that. But you can park the bus and be defensive. And you can park the bus and have kind of offensive aspirations. And I think that's the way we should go down. You can't press Liverpool on the front foot because they'll just do you. We've seen that so many times in the past. The way to beat Liverpool, there is a blueprint. You sit back and you hit them on the break, and I think that's what we should do. And yeah, like I said, our wingers should just be slightly more offensively minded.
2 years today, Flex, that Klopp's been at Liverpool. You'd think it was 2 weeks. He's still the Messiah, the King, the chosen one. Worse win ratio than Brendan Rodgers, Louis van Gaal, David Moyes, and Liverpool fans still believe that he is the one. If he was to get a result next week, it will only add to the hysteria and disillusionment. But what are you expecting next week in relation to United?
I'm expecting us to be confident this year, because I think last year we had to battle against a lot. Jose Mourinho didn't know his best team, let's face it. This time last year there were different players almost every game, different 11. And at the time when we played them last year, I remember Liverpool was scoring for fun. So I think it was a mixture of those two things that made him just go, do you know what? I haven't really got my team sorted. I haven't got my targets in. I haven't got the players I want. Let's just stack up and let me do an old school Jose Mourinho and completely park the bus. I was very disappointed last year, though. We should have had a much bigger go at Liverpool. So we're definitely in the best place to face them in terms of our own form. We've got a system that works for us. We've got players that have bought into Jose. We've got a winning mentality throughout the team. So there's no excuse why we can't go and be way more positive than last year. Now, way more positive doesn't mean gun-ho. That's a big difference. Like Xander said, the best way to beat Liverpool isn't to try and out-press them and try and attack the hell out of them. It is to sit back and counter them. Yes, their defence is fragile, but trying to rush and play 100 miles per hour and play the way they play, you might be fighting a losing battle there. So Jose Mourinho is a tactician. He's a tactical genius. He will have a game plan, and I think the game plan will be that. As long as we are more forward thinking than we were last year, because literally we had our wingers literally playing as fullbacks, as Xander said. It was really bad, shocking, similar to when we went to the Arsenal game last year when our mind was on the Europa League. We did the same thing there. We had Martial pretty much left back, poor thing. So yeah, as long as we go and be more positive than we were last year, which I'm sure we will. We're in a much better place this year, much better space, and a lot more confidence. So as long as we're more positive than last year, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, we've been positive this season, but I just feel that we will go and be quite defensive, and I just feel that Mourinho maybe thinks a point's a good result, but I don't think a point's a good result. I think we're going to have to win there if we want to, because City are going to win all their games in October, I think, and unless we do, and we've got some tough fixtures, we're going to lose ground on them. So I think Liverpool's there to get 3 points. I think City will go there and get 3 points based on their current form, and I think we need to do it as well. It's unfortunate. I mean, we need Lukaku to be fit. I mean, we've lost 2 big players for us, and literally big players as well. Somebody said it last night, and I'm starting to think maybe we will go 3-5-2 because it will give us that security, but it will also give us the option to play Mkhitaryan and the midfield not to get overrun. So, but we'll talk about that more in the week. But massive game for us, very excited about it. But Anfield for me is always the one that I'm on the edge because there's a big rivalry. We're not in the comfort of Old Trafford. Things can go wrong. Refereeing decisions, sending offs. You're in that sort of melting pot. Really, having said that. The game last year, I agree with Flex. I think we got the tactics wrong. And also, I've never heard Anfield so, no atmosphere. It's surprising. Sometimes we go there and it's a real pressure cooker. Last year, I don't know whether it's the new stadium or whatever like that, but they just didn't respond, and that is very important as well. I don't want to get into too much into tactics, but in the first 20 minutes, if we can keep them subdued. And the crowd are, they're aware that Klopp's been there for 2 years and it's not going to plan. So Mourinho, he's the genius. He's the tactical genius. Anyway, go on.
I just quickly want to say Mourinho will definitely have a clever game plan in his head. We're saying he's a tactical genius in that, and he's had 2 weeks off now. He would have definitely analysed deeply Liverpool and looked at it and come up with a game plan. And that's why it makes me more confident as well that Mourinho will really
100%.
Yeah.
That is Mourinho.
A bit Chelsea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same thing. He doesn't sit there and just turn up willy-nilly to a game and expect to win. A lot of people accuse Wenger of doing that, which is why Arsenal have been on the back of some big defeats because he tries to play the same against everybody, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So that is not Mourinho.
Yeah, we've got Liverpool away, Huddersfield away, Spurs at home, Chelsea away. 4 games in the league before the next international break in November. How many points you going to go with, Xander, from them 12?
Was it Spurs away?
No, Spurs at home, Chelsea away, Liverpool away, Huddersfield away.
Oh God, that's difficult. I think we will beat Liverpool. I think Chelsea will be a tough one. As will Tottenham. I think we'll come out on top against Tottenham. Huddersfield we should obviously get the 3 points as well. I just think Chelsea, if Morata's back, I don't know how long his injury is. I think it was just a precautionary thing last time. But yeah, we should get I don't think we're going to get the 3 points against Chelsea. Maybe a draw there, but other than that, I think 3 points for all their games.
10 points for him then. Flex, agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I think we'll beat Liverpool 2-1. I'm going to go just to put that early prediction out there. Huddersfield I think we'll beat them comfortably. Spurs at home, I think we'll beat them too. I think we'll beat them quite comfortably. Yes, they're a force and they've got a lot of good players, but I do think we'll beat them. So yeah, I'll say about the Chelsea game is the one for me that's probably more tough. We've got a pretty bad record there. Of recent years, I don't know what it is. We just can't seem to win there. If we're playing well, I remember last year we were playing well up to a point, and then again just come unstuck. So yeah, I think the Chelsea game will be the banana skin there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are saying that as well. 9 points, says Ben Cavasso. Avanash says 9 or 10 points. David Allen, I don't know what was said, so if you want to leave a comment in, I'll read it, but I didn't see the interview, no. And Mike Rollins said I'd be happy with 10 points. Tell you what, I'd be happy with 10 points because no matter what, that would mean that we're only 2 points off City if they win all their games. And have the run of games we've got, I'll be very happy with 10 points. And I'd agree with the lads, really. I think, yeah, if we can beat, we need to beat Liverpool next week. If we beat them, I think we'll beat Huddersfield. There's no reason we can't beat Spurs at home because Harry Kane never turns up at Old Trafford. But we never win at Chelsea, so a draw would be a good result. So I think 10, it's going to be tough, but I think 10 is what we should be going for. And anything above that would be a win at Chelsea, which would be remarkable. So 10 is what we should aim for. I think it's time to get behind the team, obviously, like most people have. We've had a couple of injuries, and it's going to be an interesting few weeks. But Liverpool, in a way, could define our season. You win that game, and confidence grows even more than it is at the moment. It's unfortunate that it's coming straight after an international break, which will stunt that momentum we had before it. It's almost starting again. But if we go and win there, it would be brilliant. And everyone's saying I would take 10 points. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for coming on, Xander.
Always a pleasure, mate. I know I'm on due to Ross's absence, but look, I love the United stand. It's always a pleasure to come on.
Cheers, pal. And we've got That's Football, which Xander is obviously doing with me at the moment. We will be doing a watch-along tomorrow night for the Ireland-Wales game. Massive game, that is. But I will be doing Skype Goldbridge on this show at 8 o'clock as well. So we've got both covered. Watch both. And thanks for coming on, Flex.
Yeah, again, thanks for having me. This new weekly show is going pretty well. Obviously, the buzz around the fan cams is brilliant as well, so we're looking forward to bringing you much more of that as well. Yeah,
I think you're going to be up at Anfield next week, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll be up at Anfield, so we'll be outside the away end, so make sure you come and see us, guys. Get your thoughts, and hopefully I don't get too many rants because we've lost as well, so it'll be nice to see us walking out of there with some positives because we've got a good result. Yeah, definitely. It could go either way, but I think whatever happens, it's going to be interesting to get those fan cams and see what the fans from the ground have got to say. Thanks for everyone for all your nice thoughts on the show. Flagship show, first show we ever did, the Sunday show 3 years ago. We used to just do the Sunday show every Sunday, and that was it, once a week, the United Stand, and look how it's grown. But it's still our favourite show because it's the first we ever did. So make sure you drop a like. It's been really good. We've whizzed through lots and lots of topics. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock is your show, the Skype show, where you Skype in and say what you want to say, which I always look forward to as well. But it came back last week. It's not a new show. People think it's new and they're like, oh, wow, I love the intro, I love the graphics. Red Rumours will be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It will go up at 1 o'clock. If you didn't see it last week, don't know why you missed it, but it's a great show. The graphics are great from Drawty, and it's basically a roundup of all the transfer news, loan deals, contract talks and all that in a bite-sized 10 minutes. So that'll go up at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Then 8 o'clock tomorrow night you've got the Skype show. But Red Rumours is back every Monday now. A nice little treat to start the week. And it's going to be a big week. Big week. Building towards Liverpool. Got lots of shows planned.
I just hope we don't get any more injuries because we can't afford it. But thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all soon. If you've not subscribed already, bottom right hand corner, make sure you've got your notifications on. As I said last night, YouTube's a little bit weird at the moment, but make sure you still subscribe because it's been unsubscribing people. But then make sure you've got your notifications on and you click the bell and get all notifications and save it, because some people aren't getting notifications. And obviously we're a live channel. If you want to watch Red Rumours on your lunch tomorrow, you need your notifications on. But thanks everyone for joining us. Really enjoyed the show. Cracking guests, cracking people on the live comments. And if you're not watching live, give us your thoughts below. Lots to talk about. Christmas Eve football. Pogba, how long's he out for? Is Moyes really mentally ill? We'll leave it out to you. He's definitely got a massive bag of chips on his shoulders. That's all I'd say.
It's got something wrong. Yeah, it's got something wrong. I just think they need to work out what it is.
Thanks everyone. Really enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow. And we're done, folks. Really good show. Thanks
Cheers.
for coming on.
Brilliant. Yeah, I enjoyed that. It went so quick.
Oh, it does. It always flies by.
Mark?
Yeah.
Could you